What is up, you guys? Are you ready for what's going to surely be a really fun stream? I'm going to call up our good friend Amy the Amazonian, and we are going to talk about Modern Horizons 3 for Brawl. At least that's the plan today. All right. And I gotta get a few things right, like join this call and see if it works. And if I can hear Discord, just a second. There's always settings I have to adjust. Just a second. Where'd it go? Oh no. Oh no, not like this. They did an update.
Yeah.
Oh, I found it. I found what I need to find. I'm good.
CGB, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, and I think my chat can hear you too.
I think my chat can hear. Chat, can you hear?
Chat, are you deaf? we good? Are we Gucci? All right, let me get out of this. Sorry, I'm currently playing.
No. Do your thing. Here. Defeat your enemies.
Who's that guy? Oh well, let me tell you. By using this fancy shout out feature, this is Covert Go Blue. I assume that you're streaming on both YouTube and Twitch right now, but Yeah, you may have seen his various arena content. He's one of the big Magic Arena content creators, makes fantastic, especially standard content to, appease your hearts. And also, now more recently, some lore content.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we're trying to do it all. We're trying to do it all, and I'm only really good at the, being a standard punching bag, so I have to get good at the other things.
Oh, I mean, you're pretty good at Brawl, too. Your Brawl decks definitely have a huge following. I liked your idea of, hey, what if we had Roxanne, but it's all X-cost spells so those Grenzos can't steal our crap?
It's very fun. It's really funny to see
fun
them.
And funny.
They hit their heist, right? And they just sit there for a minute, and they have no good options.
Oh, well, they might hit like your Llanowar elf, but that's not what they want.
It's like, wait, what, there's no Italian in this? Nope. There's no Titans? Nope. None of it. Oh goodness, Brawl's fun, and yeah, for those who watch this on my channel, this is Amy the Amazonian. You make Brawl content every day, right?
Unfortunately, it is my soul. I love Brawl so much, and it is all I know in this world is Brawl.
And because we have two content creators who make a lot of arena videos that love Brawl, we have to just talk about Brawl cards, right? Is that what we're doing?
I want to talk about some cards that are, a lot of them are for Brawl. Should I share my screen with you, my ugly ass Google Doc screen?
I think if you just say a card and I pull it up on Scryfall, that'll be easy enough.
Yeah, you know what? That'll probably be prettier on my end too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the Modern Horizons 3 cards that I've actually identified as they're going to be played either in Brawl or some other format, but mostly these are cards that you should pay attention to for Brawl. And there's a lot. There's so many cards that, here, let me bring this up here, that you should be aware of, because we're about to have, I think, the biggest single shift in metas for Brawl because of the sheer number of cards coming in.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of reading to do on Tuesday.
Oh gosh, reading.
Yeah,
so I'll start you off by saying, you know how there's these funky new Eldrazi Titans? You may have heard of them. Emrakul, Kozilek, Ulamog.
The name rings a bell.
Yeah, well, 2 of the 3 of them definitely going to see play. So let's start with Emrakul, the World Anew. Everybody likes a good generic ramp target, and this is a funky one. Emrakul, the World Anew is when you cast the spell, you gain control of all creatures target player controls. It's also a 12/12. It has flying and protection from spells and permanents cast this turn. So she's really hard to get rid of. Really, really hard to get rid of. But if she does die, then all the creatures you control get sacrificed, which means the stolen creatures.
Yeah. All of them. All of them get sacrificed.
All of them.
She
also has this madness pay 6 colorless mana. I'm going to say that that's much less of a thing that you have to pay attention to. 6 colorless mana, unless you're specifically a build around deck, that's not what's happening. But that first part, that's a scary big creature. And yeah, it's 12 mana, but you've played Brawl long enough to know 12 mana, schmelv mana. It'll happen.
It's doable. Are we looking at this as a commander? Because my instinct was not to look at this as a commander. Because that madness, you can't madness it out of the command zone, right? That's rules. That's how rules work.
Yes. There's no way to discard from the command zone.
Yeah. So
that I can think of.
So where does this go? Is this your 6th or 7th 10+ mana card in a Zuza, that kind of thing? It
does. You throw it in Pawk, who knows? So yeah, that's one of them, Emrakul. But I think that the actual bigger issue is going to be Ulamog, the Defiler. If you scooch on over to him, Ulamog the Defiler works as a commander, but also this is much better in the 99. 10 mana, 7/7. When you cast the spell, target opponent exiles half their library rounded up. So that's rough, because you've just been cut off from half the cards in your deck. I'm sorry, did you have a combo you were trying to do? Yeah. No, it's not happening. Thankfully, by the way, in paper, you actually have to count out the cards in your deck and like make piles. You don't have to do that here. Arena will just do it for you.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
goodness.
It's just gone before you are even done reading the card. Thank goodness.
Oh my gosh. But it also has ward, sacrifice 2 permanents, so it's very difficult to touch once it's on the battlefield. And it enters the battlefield with +1/+1 counters equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. That does include your own cards in exile if you happen to have them. And he gets Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So this is a 10 mana. When I was evaluating this card, I said it's probably going to be at least +5/+5. So it's a 10 mana, 12/12 with Annihilator 5.
A 10 mana, 12/12,
Yes.
ward, sacrifice 2 permanents with Annihilator 5. That might have cut your deck in a bad place.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this card is going to be so toxic in Commander. Does Twitter want this banned yet? Are they mad? They will be. They will be at any moment.
It's not a fun card, which means people are going to play it because it's mean, it's rude, and it's a problem causer.
So real talk, right? Is it as good as the other Ulamog?
I think it's very different. I think the other Ulamog is much more of like its removal when it comes out. The on attack and the indestructible. Honestly, the indestructible never really feels that impactful in Brawl because people tend to run sacrifice and exile removal if possible. And like you can deal with a 10/10 just by playing a 12/12. Yeah. And this will be a 12/12.
This is another like the Azusa, the Eldrazi, anybody who's going to do like the colorless ramp decks. It's just more. There's so much more now. It used to be like 10 mana. Well, maybe they have the one of Ulamog now. There's so many things they could have, and all of them are just a nightmare.
I think the bigger synergy with this is I think it's an amazing top end for scales decks where you're already doing +1/+1 counter garbage. You just throw it in here and it's like, yeah, I got a Vorinclex, what of it?
You're just gonna go harder. You're just going even harder. Okay.
And if you are running a Gruul deck that's running some haste enablers, think like Roxanne, you just want to attack right away with this because it's got Annihilator, like whatever. It's got Annihilator big.
These are more reasons that people will play Grenzo. It's just
god,
true. Yeah, Grenzo is like the one thing that gives everybody pause on these giant monsters, but as soon as Grenzo gets the Hell Q treatment, it's going to be back to the biggest possible Timmy stuff, and this goes right in it. Yeah.
But like we are getting a lot of good support for just colorless decks in general that we didn't really have before. Cards like Kozilek's Command, that's just an X cost spell that can draw you cards, make you Eldrazi spawn, exile things, or exile things from a graveyard. That's just like a generically very nice card in colorless deck, and It That Heralds the End, and a whole bunch of other ones that really just the colorless support. Glaring Fleshraker is actually one of my personal favorites that we got. For whenever you cast a colorless spell, you get a spawn, and colorless creatures entering the battlefield, including those spawns, deals damage to opponents. Colorless is getting more support in Arena than it's ever had before, so things like, I don't know, janky Liberator decks are going to get much better cards and much better commanders.
Is there a best colorless commander in Brawl?
I don't know. I feel like because you kind of have to go fast in Brawl, it's still going to be either something that's a bit more tempo, like Liberator, or something like Ugin that once it's on the battlefield lets you suddenly play 10 cards for 0 mana.
Yeah,
I don't think any of the new ones really change it. Yeah, we are getting some 5-color colorless commanders though, because we're getting the Brawl precons.
Yeah,
not Brawl precons. We're getting the commander precons, but only the face card and the backup commander.
Yeah, I saw those yesterday in early access. That we're getting all of the. Yeah, exactly what you said. So, do any of those like stand out to you as the build arounds, like who's going to be the breakout commanders from the set is always like what I'm wondering. And I don't know, like maybe Energy has a chance. I played Satya in a commander game and it was really good, like really good.
And all the Energy cards, with the exception of a few, are in Arena. There's just a few other ones that were printed directly into Commander that we don't have.
Yeah. What is Energy like copycat look like? It seems like you can copying artifacts is pretty amazing. There are a lot of really good artifacts. Copying experimental synthesizer.
And Satya doesn't need energy to be good.
Yeah, but this one just has to do like creatures. It's just got to be like critters with cool abilities.
I think that Satya is one of the better ones. I think that some of the ones that are like very, very specific, like Disa, just aren't going to do anything. Karam is a little... I don't think he'd do that much just because he doesn't do anything when he enters the battlefield, unless you already have stuff that you've been self-milling each turn.
He's really spooky with haste, though, I've got to tell you.
Karam?
I've already been hit by Karam with haste.
You have some haste enablers. I feel that, in general, these are not that crazy for Brawl. I think they will all see like some level of play of people experimenting with them, especially the 2 Eldrazi commanders, just because we don't have any other ones. Like Azlask, the Swelling Scourge, is... I mean, it's great if you can get it out and then pay 5 mana. That's 8 mana total, and it gives all of your Eldrazi Scions and Spawns Annihilator 1. There's lots of ways to make those. We just don't have most of those in Arena, because we don't have the old Eldrazi in Arena.
It's true. We need to go back. Maybe we will. Maybe they'll release like Battle for Zendikar or something like that.
Eventually they'll have to, right? Because it's part of Pioneer.
Yeah,
right?
Maybe they'll just do a master set. Who knows? One thing I always watch for with Brawl are commanders that pay their own commander tax, which is kind of Geody. That's how you say it? Yeah.
I have no idea. I think it's Geody. Enters the battlefield, makes a Forest Dryad land, which is nice, and it makes more of them the more you've cast your commander to refund it even more. I feel like Geody is kind of like a better version of the other land commander. What is it? Not Tatiova, but I want to say there was a Joel Rail that like gave your lands.
Oh, makes lands into birds. It makes lands into birds. Yeah. Those can go together. This is like really good against spot removal because it just keeps coming back with more lands. It's really bad against sweepers because they blow up all your lands.
Yes.
Oh man. But yeah, it's just one to watch out for because if you hate getting your commander removed, which is often the whole format, then this card is for you.
And I think Kaith sounds like a fun build around, maybe not that strong, but giving us access to repeatable populate and proliferate is big. Speaking of which, we got some cards for the 99 that do that kind of stuff. I don't know if you've seen. There's a terrifying 2-drop that goes into any sort of deck that cares about counters. Metastatic Evangel is one of my top picks for cards that I will be playing. Because I play a lot of like Selesnya Scales decks. I think they're really fun. And Metastatic Evangel is a 2-mana 3/1. Whenever another non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. And that does proliferate the creature that just entered the battlefield under your control. Think like Arwen, enter indestructible counters.
I played this card in my energy deck for Commander, and it was really good there too. I mean, God, you can even play it with Proliferate. You can play with like Super Friends. It's like automatic in 4-color Atraxa. Yeah,
it's good in Atraxa. Because it's only 2 mana and it's also a 3/1. It's fine on its own if you don't have another creature to immediately follow up and use to proliferate. But it's good enough. I think it's actually pretty big.
Just what that deck needs more proliferate. Oh my gosh, they'll be ultimating Planeswalkers on like turn 4.
I would like it if they didn't, but I'm sure that they will. Yeah, like the Tameo deck, I think, is one of the big ones that will run this because that oftentimes has many creatures in it. The Bant Tameo, that one.
Yeah. That one with the ultimate that gives you omniscience, that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that card.
Yeah. Philip in my chat is saying a Johnny Sleeper agent decks.
Yeah.
That is the poison
You're
decks.
Gonna get toxic.
Ooh. Oh god, any poison deck.
Oh
with
yeah,
white.
I put this in my Atraxa Toxic deck.
Disgusting. So yeah, the cost on these are so low, and back in the day I would have said this is tricking some of those strategies into playing creatures. Creatures are just getting so good, especially in this set. I don't think it's a trick anymore. I think like the decks I would normally play that are almost no creatures are almost strictly wrong now. It's getting there. It's getting there.
You should be playing certain creatures because like the enter the battlefield value alone can be so strong. Life gain decks are getting Ocelot Pride. That's a real cute one. This little 1-drop first strike lifelink. This is also a tokens card, but it's so good with Soul Sister type things.
Wait, I haven't had one of these.
Ocelot Pride?
Yeah. Okay, so 1 white, 1/1 cat, mythic, first strike, lifelink, ascend. Okay, City's Blessing. At the beginning of the end step, if you gained life this turn, should be easy. Create a 1/1 white cat token. Then if you have the blessing, for each token that entered the battlefield, create a token that's a copy of it. Amy, the cats are getting out of control.
The cat's out of control. What? It's a meow meow party right now, and like, what do you mean? You get to copy all of your tokens that entered the battlefield? Oh, okay.
All
so
of
it's
the
like
tokens.
on its own, it's making 1 or 2 cats if you gained life, which is okay. Sweet. That's awesome. It's also first strike lifelink, so it can do that.
Oh my god.
It enables itself. Why does it enable itself?
Why does it have first strike?
I don't know, dies to Bowmasters. Who cares, apparently.
Yeah.
Except
Just
not
go
in
for
Brawl,
it.
it doesn't die to Bowmasters.
Man, at the beginning of the end step, so this has to survive combat, but yeah, I mean, this cat is amazing. I don't know, copying any token you make. So there are a bunch of things now that make different kinds of tokens, and so if you molten duplicate just something amazing, that token sacrifices at end step, but you can stack it so you make a copy that doesn't sacrifice first. Like there's just just stupid stuff here.
And so that cat also works with treasures and blood and clues and any other kind of token too, because sure, why not?
Oh, my chat's all over it. This has first strike to beat Ragavan. It's very yeah.
Right.
Otherwise it would never get played in Modern, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't think I had too many other standouts for white. White Orchid Phantom, if you're playing like a hate bear deck, is pretty sweet. It's just kind of generally a nice card.
We have to talk about the dog though.
Oh, Phelia?
Yeah.
Phelia's
just a
weird.
little. Like first of all, somebody gave that dog like way too good of a dog treat or something. That dog is over the moon right there. Hide your shoes, guys. Hide your shoes.
Phelia's blink, she requires you to attack, but she can blink any non-land permanent, including your opponent's stuff. It goes into blink decks. I just built a blink deck today, and I think it would probably like having Phelia in it.
Yorion? The Yorion card? Oh, I mean, why not?
I was actually playing a Vona deck. Orzhov Blink.
Ooh, Vona. Okay, so on its own, if you want to build mono white Blink, which I never find very exciting, but in any deck that has white and an ETB trigger on your commander, you're already there, right?
You can sacrifice the dog, essentially. You can attack in with it, and guess what? A lot of blink spells already cost 2 mana, and this is also a 2/2 with flash, so like you could flash it out and block a Ragavan if you really need to.
Yeah, card is nuts. So they have on Scryfall, it's divided oddly with the reprints near the bottom. Do we want to cover any of the reprints as we go, or wait till we get to the bottom?
Let's wait till we get to the bottom, but
Cool.
Let's skip over to one of the cycles. If you just type set Modern Horizons 3 and then Flare, Flare, the Flare cycle. These are all very playable. Did you know free spells are good?
Why are they doing this? I spent yesterday, we'll get to it, I'm sure, the Invoke Elementals. I spent yesterday trying out Scam and Timeless, and I feel just dirty. I feel like I need to go to church and repent. I need to cleanse my soul.
Yeah, it's one of those like, oh, you went first. Okay. You went first. Okay.
Yeah, just don't get attached to anything. Don't get attached to your deck, your opening hand, anything, because it could all be gone before you do anything with it. It's so
your
bad.
Creatures furied, your hand griefed.
I did play Flare of Denial in a deck yesterday. It was the deck with the new
For it?
Yes, you can.
Wait, So like the Snapcaster comes out, gives this flashback, and then you just can cast it using the snap. That's so stupid.
Or you can flashback a different spell and sack your Snapcaster Mage for the flare that's in your hand. Yeah, it's good. It's a good card.
Yeah, people were talking about the Flare of Cultivation in the kind of decks that are doing landfall stuff and are already running like Kami of Bamboo Groves, Arboreal Grazer.
Yeah.
Flare of Cultivation, you can get so much mana so fast, and it's just Cultivate Plus for most decks. There's no reason if you're running Cultivate to not try and upgrade it to this. It's double green, but guess what? Green decks, they're usually really good at having double green.
They're, especially now, we got the 10 fetches, right? We've got the shocks, we got the surveil lands, we've got the tri lands. You're gonna have, you can get away with a lot of weird mana in Brawl that you couldn't even like 3 months ago.
Yeah. And Flare of Denial, you mentioned before, it's just cancel plus. I feel like if you're playing a predominantly blue deck, run Flare of Denial if you have creatures. Flare of Duplication is a little bit more specific, but it does let you copy your opponent's spells, including their counter spells. So like you could copy a counter to counter their copy, or counter with the copy. Flare of Fortitude is, we have Teferi's Protection at home, but this Teferi's Protection is sometimes free, so screw it. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, free Teferi's Protection is pretty good.
Yeah, and Flare of Malice is force your opponent to sacrifice their biggest creature or planeswalker. And you can also do this by sacrificing your stuff. It's an instant. It's nuts. It's so good.
Yeah, I thought at first that it would be the kind of Flare Mouse would be the kind of thing that only goes in sacrifice decks. But then you look at some of the stuff you can do with it. Like, what if Crocs is your commander, right? And you play Crocs. You hold the priority. You make them sack a creature. Oh, it's so good. And I don't know if I'm just traumatized by like mono red and standard, but what I'm afraid of with Flare of Duplication is when they put that lightning strike on the stack and I'm at 6 and then they sack their little dork that already did like 20, like a bunch of damage to me, and they copy it and they just burn me out with it. Scares me.
Anyway, yeah, Modern Horizons 3 guys coming to Arena. Free
is the new 3.
All right, so I'm gonna scooch down into blue. Amphibian Downpour was one of the first ones I identified. This is similar to, I think, Asinine Antics, but it's got Storm, it's got Flash. It's just a new way of frogifying things, but it can hit multiple targets, which is kind of nice.
Always good in Brawl to just turn off a commander a little bit. 3 mana is a bit of a rate for it, but if you're hitting 2 or 3 things that have actual stats with this, it feels so good.
I think that we may have gotten another couple cards in this. Emrakul's Messenger is a nice one. Drawing your second card in a turn gets you ramp. Spellslinger decks tend to love that kind of ability. I feel like Emrakul's Messenger is a nice include into a lot of things.
Once upon a time, there was an Eldrazi and there was a fairy, and they just were really into each other.
I actually asked people like if they knew what was going on with this card. Apparently Mark Rosewater had answered about it because it looks kind of like a Eldraine Fae, like the art.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't think the Eldrazi went to Eldraine. I think we would have known. And he said this is most likely something that happened a long time ago in the past on a plane we've never been to. So it's just, this is a Fae. And they were corrupted by Emrakul. And it's not in a place we've ever been before.
Yeah. How many arts in Magic history have a fairy and tentacles on them? Here you go.
Well, not clearly enough. Harbinger of the Seas. Let me just scooch on from that one. Hey, are you binging any Harbs? What do you think about this? I've heard it called many things. Magus of the flood.
Flood moon.
Yeah, the flood moon.
Yeah. See, I'm one of those who I put Blood Moon in decks, and it's so rarely good. I draw it all the time, and it doesn't do much for me. So I'm nervous about this card, but it does solve a lot of unique problems. And it can just get people sometimes. I don't know. There is something about being a creature too. You can sneak it out with Cavern of Souls that gets around Dovin's Veto and such. Swan Song, right? You can Harbinger the Seas when they don't expect it. There's probably some deck that wants to take like a Blue Moon approach to the format, throwing out an old modern deck that wants to play Blood Moon and this and really try to get them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Niv Mizzet gets down with some of that.
And I think I went right by the new Proliferate engine, the Dreamtide Whale. Dreamtide Whale, another one of those. It doesn't just proliferate itself, and it's also a 3-mana 7/5. So, have you run into this card yet?
I keep trying to put this in my commander decks, and I'll probably try to put it in my brawl decks. I love the idea of getting to proliferate the vanishing to keep it around, but also increase several other things on the board. This seems like a really good politic-y card in commander.
Player. It's not just you proliferating it.
Yeah.
It's any player on any turn.
Yeah. This looks exciting. 3-mana 7/5 is stupid.
It's a lot.
It's so much.
It's a lot. Why does blue? I love it. So like, if this didn't have the proliferate thing on it, this would be like an old school Magic card. Like, oh yeah, it's cheap, but it's got this super high power and toughness, but it goes away in a turn and a half. But that's not how it is.
It's a planeswalker killer. Like any planeswalker that thinks it defends itself with like making a token on the ground just does not. Like, this thing is, it doesn't quite. I mean, I guess it doesn't fly. Wait, it doesn't fly? It's a Dreamtide Whale.
Does not fly. No.
Why did I think this flew?
Because of the art makes it look like it's flying.
It looks like it's going up in the clouds. It should have reach or something. Look at how high it's getting.
I mean, it's turning into clouds. It's vanishing. I think that's supposed to be it vanishing in the art.
Yeah, no trample either. So, like, Mist Evasion, I guess, is the mist. It is the best, like, kind of protecting, like, you know, it's the safety wheel on this, right? If this had Trampler flying, it would probably be too busted. It's just a giant meatball that sticks around if somebody double spells, which still seems really good. It's like Rotting Regisaur the Whale.
All right, so I got 3 more big identifies, and then like one that's kind of a maybe. We've got Ugin's Binding. This is best in big colorless decks. Because it casts itself for free, again, from the graveyard, and it's a Cyclonic Rift. It is devoid, so it's a colorless spell. Okay, so have you seen this one? Just, you know what? Go look at it and breathe it in. Ugin's
Hold on.
Binding.
Do you want to read it, or shall I?
Go for it.
Okay, I'm scared now. 2 and a blue instant mythic devoid. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Whenever you cast a colorless spell with mana value 7 or greater, you may exile it. When you do, return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand.
And this is like fun. I think we should mention it. The card Null Drifter that does trigger this. So if you cast the evoked Null Drifter, apparently that counts because it's looking at the mana value of the card itself.
My God.
People were looking at this and just scratching their heads like, why?
There are obviously any Eldrazi that you can squeeze the color identity of blue into. Like, that's obvious, right? But there are enough blue decks that cast big spells eventually that this seems like it just goes in so many of these decks.
If you're running even like a Cityscape leveler,
that's
pretty stellar.
Yeah. Portal to Phyrexia. The one I think of the most is Jacob Hawken.
Ugh, God, I hate Jacob Hawken. Screw that kid.
What's wrong with Jacob Hawken? It's good, honest blue ramp.
Honestly, Jacob Hawken used to be such a menace before we had so many different free spell things, and now it's just like, he's just another guy casting free spells. He's no Malcolm.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. He is not no Malcolm. That's true.
Malcolm.
Wait, this goes in Malcolm because Malcolm can cast Eldrazi for free,
and he does frequently.
Holy shit! Oh God, I'm glad you showed this to me.
Would you like more cards that I'd say are considerable for Malcolm? Utter Insignificance, that's a nice one. This is the kind of card that kind of like, I think it's called Swarm of Piranhas or something. It skeletonizes your things. It's another Frogify with Flash, and it also gives you this additional potential to exile a creature if you have colorless mana. So early on, it nullifies your opponent's stuff, and if they're going to like blink the card to free it from this, you just exile it.
The smack talk.
Eaten by Piranhas, that's the one. Yeah, this is Eaten by Piranhas Plus.
With better smack talk. You know, you're like, your commander is utterly insignificant to me.
I love the art too, with like Kozilek in the background. It's just like, oh hey,
gives zero.
Ulamog in the background. I think, yeah.
The flavor text. I used to think my life was meaningless. Now I know for certain.
Oh yeah, because you're nothing. You are nothing in this world. Speaking of being nothing, everything is actually a bird instead of nothing. Remember when we were playing with Alien Olivia? And you swan-songed me. I remember. Yeah,
I have a token to commemorate the moment. I wish I had it on my desk right now.
Well, Strict Serenade means that token's going to see a bit more play because you can counter target artifact, creature, or planeswalker spell for 1 blue mana. Its controller does make a bird, but guess what? That's better than them having their commander, and this hits every single commander with the exception of, I guess, Essica's backside Prismatic Bridge. we trying to hit Essica's backside. It's a challenge, okay? Is this better or worse than Swansong? I don't think it matters. I think you just run both if you were in the market for one already. Yeah, they're different, and I would say Strict Serenade because it always hits commanders
Yeah.
The fact that it hits creatures or planeswalkers, that's the big thing. Artifacts too means that you can like turn off your opponent's early ramp. If you have, especially think like a Bonnie Pulse, something that's like big reach and tempo, absolutely throw it in there.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not gonna lose to the 2/2, like I don't know about you, I don't play Swansong and Malcolm.
No, because he's a 2/1 flyer. That's that's like one of the cheap counter spells I just don't run there.
Bingo. Okay, cool.
But yeah, nuts. Strict Serenade gonna see a lot of play. And now I've got kind of like a jankier one, and I need your opinion because this is not the kind of spell I would play. I think it's more of something that you'd consider it's an equivalent of more of like a wilderness reclamation. It's called Shadow of the Second Sun. It gives you additional beginning phases, meaning that you get an extra untap, upkeep, and draw before the end of your turn. It happens right before end step, but it costs 6 mana to get this down. So it's pretty pricey.
I don't know. This is one of those where I guess if your commander has an upkeep trigger, it's a little automatic, or like a beginning of, basically anywhere in the beginning phase trigger. Obviously Obeka wants this, right? But like this is more of a commander card than I think anything else.
Yeah, I think it's the 6 mana is what turns me off of it. And other people are also identifying the card Volatile Stormdrake. This is the last blue card I have pulled up as something that you would play.
Really quick. I just had a nightmare. Like I just had an internal like nightmare of Grenzo stealing Shadow of the Second Sun.
Oh God, and just taking additional upkeep. No, thank you. It's already bad enough when he gets blink cards. Last one, Volatile Stormdrake. This is a way to steal your opponent's commander, and sometimes it gets sacrificed. Pretty much if it costs 4 mana or less, you can just steal it, and otherwise it gets sacrificed, but you're giving your opponent a 3/2 bird that has hexproof from activated and triggered abilities. To me, I wouldn't really play this, but people in my chat were saying they would, and I'm not really sure where I would land.
I think the power of Gilded Drake and Commander is yoinking commanders. I think that this will hit a good number of commanders, but I don't know if it will hit all of them, and I don't know if it will hit the best ones. You're going to miss the first sliver. You're going to miss Emoti. You're going to miss Grenzo. Those are just 3 off the top of my head where you're not grabbing what you hope to. It is really good, I think, for 2 mana to steal a Mana Dork. Like, that's the thing where maybe that's good enough, right?
You steal their Mana Dork, but you're giving them the bird.
Right. I guess it depends how big you're going. So like picture like if you're up against a tally, right? I think I would make that trade. But it depends what your top
Slow
end
them
is.
down. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, you have to be ramping into something very powerful, not just value, because taking a Delver of Secrets that you gave them to the face is a lot.
Yes, that can be pretty ouchy.
Yeah.
This
Deck, this in a blink deck though, or like a bounce deck. If you have a way, especially out of the command zone or consistently in your deck, to bounce this back to your hand is really good.
Yeah. Cards that are like blink something that you own, not necessarily control. That's always fun. Accursed Marauder. Let's go into black. Accursed Marauder. This is just like a fleshbag Marauder, but for 2 mana instead of 3, and I think that makes a pretty big difference. I think that it's like the Jadar decks, the Yara decks, all those.
Why?
It's just great.
Why did we need this?
Non-token.
Why did we need this?
We didn't need this at all.
It's strictly better than Fleshbag for less. Why is this a card?
Because we get it.
Because we like sacrificing our first creature. We just love like throwing our creatures in the garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that's like a kill your own stuff, like a Ellis Ilcord. They all love this. This is a really sit card for all of those because it's an edict for 2 mana, which is where an edict would be.
It's so good with like steal effects. If you want to get into like sack and fling, oh my god, it's so cheap that you can, cast like your act of treason-y effect or something and then play it. Oh, it's so nasty. I hate it. I hate this card.
Yeah.
And it's a common. It's a common.
Sure is easy to craft, unlike Crabomination. This one's for me. This is a card I identified for me. Crabomination does crime. It also has Emerge from Artifact, but mostly it's a 6 mana 5/5, enters the battlefield, exiles the top card of your opponent's library, a random card from their graveyard, and a random card from their hand, and then you can cast one of them for free. Now, comparing this to say Grenzo, this is much more fair, I feel. However, it is still a steal and cast for free. Also, it attacks your opponent's hand and their deck and their graveyard. So that's kind of cool. This is what Heist should have been. This is what Heist should have been. Also, this is still blinkable, so maybe throw it in your Orders Off Blink decks.
I love that. Yeah, reanimatable, blinkable, very cool. I feel like somebody who designed this card was watching way too much of every show that has you and Voxy because they somehow got you both into one card.
Yeah, they're like, oh, a crab demon. Hey, wait a minute. That means I'm the demon.
Well, it means you do crime. Like the crime.
Sure do.
Yeah, you're the crime and she's the crab.
This card's for me. This is my card. I brought it from home and nobody else can have it. So if I see anybody else playing this card, I gotta tell them to stop. It's mine and only mine.
We gotta hope the price goes down so you can like buy in bulk and
Oh wait, how much is it? It's pre-order. It's like $8. Oh gosh.
The foil is half the price. The foil is half price for some reason.
I don't know, curling.
Yeah, I guess so. The prices on this, like, I gotta say, like, looking at the prices during pre-order season, just don't, because they're insane.
Yeah, they're nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, you should take a look at Marionette Apprentice. Have you ever been killed by a Marionette Master? Because I've been killed by a few dozen of them.
Isn't this card just... This is just Zulaport Cutthroat, but, like, better in, like, 2 different ways, right?
Yeah, the only thing that makes it slightly worse is it doesn't gain you life, but it's each opponent, it's artifact or creature, and it's either 2 different creatures, a 1/2 and a 1/1, or it's a 2/3.
Yeah.
Yes, this is great in sacrifice decks. It's great in artifacts decks. It's just a really, really, really good card.
This is, I feel like they made Bowmasters, right? They made Orcish Bowmasters and they tore off the band-aid and was like, we're going to make the best 2 mana for 2 dudes card of all time. And then now in this set, we're going to get to another one, but there is now like this card and several other where it's like 2 mana, 2 bodies and sweet effects. That's really, really good.
So this is also an uncommon. So people who are looking for something that's more on the budget side, here you go. Here you go. It's a good freaking card.
Yeah, everybody out there playing Yawgmoth or whatever
any
other
sacrifice deck.
Any sacrifice deck, just get one of these right away.
Just grab one. Emperor of Bones is, speaking of things that get you more bodies on the battlefield, this one's pretty cool, but the bodies do go away. I just thought this was a fun card, and it is a fun card.
I played against this in early access in Timeless. Jim Davis used it to grief me again.
Yes, because you can use it to bring back your griefs that you didn't scam or that just got killed by Fury.
It really pissed me off. I've got to say. Also, if you have a way to keep adding +1/+1 counters, like you don't even need that for this to be good. But if you do, oh my god,
there's a lot of very fun ways you can do that. It feels like it's just a good card if you're doing like a Scales Reanimate kind of thing, especially because it's a 2-mana 2/2 that turns into, for 2 more mana, a 4/4. It's got this kind of like growing up over time. It's nice.
Yeah. Cool little card. Cool little reanimator on a body.
Yes. The other cards, there's some things like Ripples of Undeath. I don't think they're crazy good. It really depends on how much life you're willing to pay. It gives you card draw, but it costs mana and life. I don't love it, but I figured I would mention it. And now we have there's actually a commander I want to identify.
Oh, yeah?
It's Shilgengar, Sire of Famine.
Shilgengar.
I will be building this. Yes, Shilgengar. This is a very cool deck. I think that if you build it, you are doing angels and demons. That's pretty rad.
Name of the deck is Why Not Both, I guess.
Well, it's a way of having a what's it called? A Rise of the Dark Realms in the command zone.
Yeah.
That takes a bit of setup, but kind of sets itself up because of how Blood works and how Shilgengar works. It's weird. It's like an Orzhov commander that is a demon, but works great with angels.
But also turns them into vampires.
Yeah.
So like, what if you have a bunch of vampire payoffs that get into the graveyard somehow? So they come out with your dead angels, but they also buff as vampire. I don't know. I'm
feels
cooking.
Like it's fun. That feels to me like it would be a cool build around. But there's still more. There's one more like good stuff card in black. Warden Soul Trader. Here, I'll let you read this one because it's a good one.
Okay. Warden Soul Trader is 2 and a black for a 3/3 zombie goblin wizard, and it says pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token.
You know what goes infinite with Chatterfang?
Everything?
Yeah. Yeah, this has a whole bunch of things that combos with it. Somebody was saying, yeah, it combos with a stiff breeze. It's a ham sandwich. It's
God,
great.
it's even a 3/3 body, and it's a goblin?
And a zombie and a wizard.
Yeah, and a zombie. Oh my god. Yeah, this goes in so many typal decks, and it just makes them pop off. This is absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's really nice with the like Slimefoot and Squee. I was sorry blanking name. Slimefoot and Squee is great with this. A whole lot of them, because it's not a completely free sacrifice because it costs you 1 life, but the fact that it's getting you a treasure token and the fact that you probably have some way of gaining life, like a Blood Artist, you can go kind of nuts.
There are a lot of decks that just want more free sack outlets. Like that is enough in enough decks. Like this in what is it, Hitsugu and Kairi, is just
why not?
Another
That's
one
great.
of those. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Or you could play it fair and just have dorks like Greedy Freebooter and Shambling Ghast and just have like 5 or 6 mana on turn 4. Because why not?
Help you ramp. So those are the ones I identified for black for the new cards. How's our pace? Oh, I better pick it up. There's 2.
Oh, it goes infinite with Gravecrawler? Because it is a zombie. Oh my god.
Don't even think about it. You're gonna make yourself upset.
No, but Gravecrawler's not on Arena, right? We're safe for now.
1 second. Is Gravecrawler on Arena?
Gravecrawler's not on Arena.
Okay.
No. We're safe for now, but it's coming. It's coming. Okay. Holy crap.
I got another potential commander to identify, Ashling Flame Dancer. I should think it's better in the 99, but it's also just like a pretty sweet card.
Omnath, but for Red Storm.
It goes with your Burgies, it goes with your Urabrasks. You don't lose your unspent red mana. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you discard a card and then draw a card. So you also do this the second time you cast a spell. it deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. And then the third time, you keep drawing and discarding, and then you make 4 mana. Feels great as just another way to do mono red storm.
Okay, you discard draw like every time, right?
Yes, every time you cast instant or sorcery. So it really helps you find your storm pieces.
And if your commander lives, you keep the mana.
Uh-huh.
Like,
and it also kills a lot of your opponent's stuff, because that 2 damage is not nothing.
Do you ever play Storm?
I've played it occasionally. I've done Rakdos Storm, Mono Red Storm. It's not really my favorite, but yeah, this feels like it's good.
I also I don't know why. I don't get into Storm, but when they do it to me, it feels so OP. It feels like I never have the answer and they always have the stuff, you know? Oh my goodness.
It's why I'm always running so much just mono, like, kill stuff.
Yes.
People are like, Amy, why are you always killing people's commanders? And I'm like, because they'll do this.
Yes, do not let them untap with this. That is a great point. That is a PSA.
Okay, so going down, you said you kind of like energy stuff, right?
I played it in Commander, and
okay.
It showed more potential than I expected. Like, the rates on these are pretty darn good, and we have Kaladesh already. Like, I played Aether Revolt in Commander, and it was a burning machine. Like, it dealt so much damage. I
don't know how much I like Aether Revolt for Brawl, but I think something like Galvanic Discharge, which at its worst is an instant speed strangle. It's 3 damage or less to a creature planeswalker for 1 mana at instant speed.
That's great. It's bolt no face. Yeah.
Bolt no face.
Yep.
That gets you maybe some extra energy if you need it.
It's funny that like this might get run in a lot of decks that don't care about the energy, so you just have that little thing off in the corner hanging out for the rest of the game.
And you'll just see it next to their like avatar, and you'll be like, "God damn it, get out of here!"
You just proliferate it. It's fine.
I got 2 more spells here. They're actually red but colorless. Eldrazi Linebreaker, which has the caveat of you need a little colorless mana to cast it, but it's a really nice haste enabler.
Whoa!
And it's a 3/3. It has trample, and it can give itself or something else haste. And it on its own, it gives +1/+0 and haste to another creature.
It's like a Reckless Stormseeker.
Yeah, it's a lot like Reckless Stormseeker. Better base stats, different payoff, doesn't transform.
That is very cool. That is very, very cool.
Just a good card to consider if you are able to generate some colorless mana. And then Ghostfire Slice, which you don't need any colorless mana for. So this is a 3 mana or 1 mana, 4 damage to any target. And it's instant speed. In Brawl, there's oftentimes a multicolored permanent, but also the fact that this can go face actually caught me a couple times during the early access event.
Ooh, okay.
1 mana, 4 damage to face. That's Turbo Bolt.
That is quite the bolt. That's Galvanic Blast you with Metalcraft. It's been a while since we had that. This kills so many commanders just on its own. Like, name a commander that, like, there aren't many commanders this doesn't kill, actually. Like, that get played a lot. Not the first sliver, obviously, but like Atraxa, Grenzo, the 4 mana Atraxa. It's just
Roxanne.
Yeah, just 1 mana, blast it, get out of here. That's really good.
Yeah. So we got a Lizard Wizard up next. It's the Party Thrasher. Here, I'll let you do this one. Party Thrasher, looking good.
What the hell?
Speaking of fat butts, this one's a 1/4.
Where is this party? What the heck is this?
I think it's definitely on New Capena, because you see that it's an elf with horns, and this is a Viashino wearing a nice suit. So this is New Capena.
Yeah. 1 in a red for a 1/4 Lizard Wizard. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have Convoke. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may discard. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one. You may play that this turn. Every pre-combat main phase?
That's what it says.
That's what and it's like a mana rock almost, because it lets you cast them.
Yeah. This is like, first of all, the reason I put it on my list was like, haha, it's good and prosper, but also it's just kind of good.
It's a 1/4.
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 1/4
What?
that it's not a must. If this was a must to discard a card and then get it, it'd be like, oh, I don't know, I don't really want to do that. It's good in cards like Rocco as well that care about casting from exile. It's really nice.
It's a 1/4. What
Yep.
what red 2-drop has had this booty ever in the history of Magic?
There was that one that like lets you discard and impulse draw or something, but this is just
Yeah,
better. It doesn't
Magmatic
cast, it just
Channeler was
goes.
smaller. This is so good. This is stupid. Like, this goes in like every red deck.
It's really nice.
Like
and the
every
fact that
red deck.
It's after your draw step. So you can draw C if you want to use the card you drew that turn, or discard it and then use the selection from it.
Yeah, it reminds me of Inti, but but Inti isn't like an everything because some decks are too like haste mindset. But I think this even goes in those decks because it finds you your burn, and it's mana. It is actually cheaty mana in its weird way. Oh God, I hate it. I hate it. Oh no. Oh, I'm gonna
Probably
groan.
worth looking at. And I got one more red spell for you, Power Balance, which probably looks familiar if you've ever seen Counterbalance before. This is a 2-mana enchantment in red. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, you may cast that spell without paying its mana cost if the 2 spells have the same mana value. So this is just, it's funny, but also I'm the kind of person who would run this. This is more of a commander pick for me than anything else. I love chaos, and this is chaos.
This is an amazing commander card, I think. It's just really funny that I think the first deck I'm going to have it in for commander is an Eldrazi deck, so you're really hoping somebody's casting a 9-drop.
And you're like, I too have a check top of deck, a 9-drop.
You know, somebody told me you can discard Emrakul, the new one, to the old Kozilek to counter a 12-mana spell, and I'm like, and then madness it, and I'm like, now we're living the dream. We did it.
You know what? I guess you could.
I guess you could. Oh God, I want screenshots if somebody in our chat does that.
Oh, do you like cards that go infinite?
Do I like cards that go infinite? No, I like non-deterministic infinites like Paradox Engine much more.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry then. Basking Brood Scale won't be for you because it does go infinite with, well, a lot of things like Rosie or Cathar's Crusade, and you can choose to end the combo whenever you'd like to, and whenever you have as many big or mana producing creatures as you'd like.
Oh, because you can sack it. Yeah, you can just sack it for mana.
No, because it's a May ability. It says you may create an 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token that has it. You don't have to. So when this is a 2-mana 2/2, it's an Eldrazi lizard, has an adapt 1 ability, and whenever a +1/+1 counter is put on it, you may make a spawn. And spawns, they can be used for mana, but if you have something that checks if you make a token and then puts a counter on something, then great. Basking Brood Scale will go infinite.
So it's Rosie Cotton's new pet.
Yeah, another pet for Rosie Con. I like how she does multiple infinites. She's just out here like, I made you some dinner.
Yeah, there's something wrong with her lizard, though. Look what's growing out of its side. Oh, you can't unsee it. Oh, I don't like it. I can't look at this. Fine. I can't put this in a deck. I was going to put this in the Mothman, which also
that makes sense.
Yeah, that plus like an Altar of Dementia or an Altar of the Brood could just kill the table. It's gross.
Next card is an anti-counter spell card. It's for elves. So it's also just like pretty generally good. Eladamri Corvecdol. I'll let you read this one because it's got text on it.
Okay. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library. Seems familiar so far. Green and a tap. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card, put it onto the battlefield.
Yay.
So it's Elvish Piper, but with like a value engine stapled to it. That's like infinitely better. That's really good. The whole downside of Elvish Piper was, what if you have the Piper, but no big creature, right? So there was like a checks and balances there. And this just says, oh, we'll give you the creatures and we'll give you the Piper effect, and you know it's cheaper and the 3/3. So why not?
Yeah,
Why
it's an
wouldn't
elf
you?
and a warrior, so it's got like relevant creature types.
Yeah, that card is nuts. I don't know if it'll be a commander because mono green elves has busted commanders already, but it goes in a ton of decks. Like a ton of decks, like Azusa and Nissa, and like the Animist one, the Landfall one, and the Pawk, right, would all play this card.
Yeah, and also elves, by the way, they're getting a bunch of really, really kind of important reprints, like Priest of Titania and stuff that you just haven't seen yet. But, you know, Ramp in general is getting something kind of nuts. Fanatic of Ronus, this goes in a lot of different decks. I would put this in, I don't know, perhaps a Goreclaw, or a Surek, or literally anything that cares about big boys.
Yeah, any green deck.
Really good drop. Yeah, any green deck. Warren collects. Gwenna, who cares? Put it in. It's good.
Yeah, somebody's gonna say, "Well, what if you don't play a bunch of big creatures?" When you eternalize
a green creature, it's so dumb.
Yes, when you eternalize it, it enables itself, which is so dumb. It creates a 4/4 that basically doubles your mana if you did it on curve. I got to play against this in Commander, and it was stupid. It's a stupid card, Amy. It's a stupid card.
It's also a 1/4. We were talking about high toughness stuff before. You can't bolt it.
Yeah. What can you do? What are you gonna do? You gotta have your push or your cut down. Like any kind of burn, any kind of damage based number on these things is so hard to make good now. And the eternalize, why? Why did we need it to come back? Was it not good enough?
The fact that it does something from graveyard also, I would say, like, you could throw this in your Myco Tyrant deck, because if it ends up in the graveyard, it has something it can do from there. It's very silly. I have, I think, I have a few more green goodies. Okay, 6. It's just the number 6. 6 is good. 6 is a 3-drop. It's a 2/4. It has reach. Whenever it attacks, you mill 3 cards. You can put a land from among the milled cards into your hand. But as long as it's your turn, non-land permanents in your graveyard have retrace, meaning you can discard a land to cast the permanents from your graveyard. So that's just good. This is especially good in things like Get Rock Monster, but this is just a very, very good card.
Yeah, so you can almost play it like a regrowth later in the game. If it does happen to attack, it's an engine. Yeah, before there was Ren, there was 6. So yeah, any of your land matters decks, this is probably a good include.
Nice. That's an identify for me. Next up, we have Sowing Mycospawn. So this is, I will say, a generically good card, but it is also land destruction.
Land destruction, oh no.
So it's a 4-mana 3/3. It's got a kicker of 1 and a colorless. When you cast this card, you search your library for any land, and it gets put into play untapped.
Oh god.
And then when you cast a spell, if it was kicked, and remember that's only 2 extra mana, you exile target land. If you already are ramping, this will get you so far ahead, even in a mono green deck. This is just like, hey, yeah, I'm playing Pawk, and guess what? Now you have 1 less land.
Yeah, the land destruction is really good as well. That cast trigger that gets a land. I've been saying for a while that we can't run as many counter spells. Us blue mage types can't run as many counter spells as we used to in Brawl, just because of all the halfling Cavern of Souls and ways to get it. And this is an uncounterable way to get a Cavern of Souls. Like it. So I'm just even more on my what has my life become. My counter spell, my beautiful 2 blue and counter spell is nothing. It's nothing.
So next up, you're gonna love this for more infinite. Springheart Nantuko. This is an enchantment creature, insect monk. It's a 2-mana 1/1 that has a bestow of 2. It's also the first 2-mana landfall get a creature maker that gets kind of silly, because let me show you how it can go infinite. So landfall, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 if Springheart Nantuko is attached to a creature. If you do pay the 2, you create a token that's a copy of that creature it's attached to. And if you didn't create a token this way, by the way, that means that if you didn't pay the 2, you make a 1/1 green insect token. This also includes if it's not attached. So let's say you play a Nissa Who Shakes the World, and you have this attached to a forest that you've animated.
Okay.
So you have a land enter the battlefield under your control, and you pay the 2. and you make a copy of the forest, which then taps for 2, which is a land entering the battlefield under your control. So you pay the 2 and you get another forest, and you pay the 2 and you get another forest, and you pay the 2 and you get another forest, and you pay the 2 and you get another forest. Hey, welcome to green, doing green stuff. I would say this is just great in landfall decks in general. It's just a cheap way to get a landfall payoff. It's also just kind of cool to clone stuff.
You attach it to a land / creature, a land / creature that taps for 2, and it's infinite. Okay.
As long as those have haste, can be tapped right away.
Let's break arena. Let's go.
Let's go. Easy. I mean, you're limited to 250 tokens, which
child's play.
Cares?
Yeah. Like at that point, why even play the game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. More infinite stuff. Love it.
This one I don't think is quite as good because it can't hit creatures, but Thief of Existence I think is still worth a call out. 3 mana, 3/4. When you cast this spell, exile up to 1 target non-creature, non-land permanent with a mana value 4 or less. If you do, this gains when this leaves the battlefield, target opponent draws a card. So a way to just like replace something. It can only hit non-creature, non-lands. You do need colorless mana to cast this, but I do think that it's good enough to some stuff.
You can't you have to cast it, which is kind of tough. Like cheating or courting it out doesn't do it, but so it's not as good of a toolbox card, but just de-ramp your opponent a little, just get rid of their Guardian Project, get rid of their teleportation circle. Why not?
It gives green access to I would say a kind of removal they didn't really have in Arena. Like let's say your opponent plays 4 mana like a planeswalker, or something.
A lot of planeswalker commanders,
And we made it to multicolor.
Cha-ching.
My favorite card is actually like the first one here, Abstruse Appropriation. I'll let you read that one.
Abstruse?
Yeah, so by the way, abstruse does mean about the same thing as obtuse. If you're wondering what does it mean, I did look it up. It means obtuse.
What is this art? Okay. 2 and Orzhov, 4 total mana, instant with Devoid. Exile target non-land permanent. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may spend colorless mana to cast it. Oh wow. What is the card that we used to play? Utter End. Utter End has been severely upgraded. Oh my goodness.
Instant speed.
Yeah.
It's 4 mana, any non-land permanent, and then it gives you the non-land permanent.
Doesn't work with commanders. Doesn't work with commanders, right? They can command zone it.
Yes, they can put it to the command zone.
Yeah, but
who cares?
Everything
4 mana
else,
exile, that's fine. That's good.
It is really good. This is sweet. This is a sweet card. Put
this in your Orzhov decks.
Yeah, better than a counterspell in current meta, probably. Also, I love that the protection from Thing, if it's granted in response, doesn't work on it.
No, because it's devoid.
Exactly. That's nice.
Yeah, it's really hard to give protection for it. I think that Arna Kennerud is pretty cool, but it's also a little janky. I need to take just 1 second, so if you want to go through this card, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I got you, because I'm actually building a commander deck with this right now, and it's really, let's read the card. It's 2 and a white and a blue and a black, and it's a flying lifelink, ward, discard a card. Nobody likes paying that. We know that. And whenever a modified creature you control attacks, you double the number of each kind of counter on it. Then for each non-token permanent attached to it, you create a token that's a token that's a copy of the permanent, and it's attached to that creature. So first of all, that bird looks freaking cool. We'll cover that right there. Second thing, you can build this a lot of ways. You can make copies of equipments like swords. You can make double +1/+1 counters, which can kill people absurdly fast. You can make double copies of auras if you're doing things like runes or Runeforge Champion. You're drawing cards when that happens. So you can go a lot of directions. Like this commander goes a lot of directions, and you can focus in on one, or you can do what I'm trying to do with the commander deck, which is like build with a bunch of things that trigger off all of it. Like I'm looking for cards that say auras and equipment on them, but also cards that add +1/+1 counters. I just want it all because I'm greedy like that. And
hey, do you want another card that says auras or equipments?
Yeah, I'd love one. Me.
Golden Tail Trainer. Take a look at that one.
Actually, I don't think I have that in the deck yet.
It can't go into that deck because it's got green in it.
How
But
dare
it's really
that
good.
green color try to mess me up?
No, how dare they?
3 mana, 1/3 Fox Samurai. Aura and equipment spells cost X less to cast would be so good. Where X is the power. When it attacks, other modified creatures get +X until end of turn, where X is the power. This is...
I don't know why it has that second part. Like, the first part's already, like...
really good.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is going in my... it's not on Arena, unfortunately. The Goodest Boy deck, Everloyal, Dogmeat Everloyal. This is going in that deck. But
I feel like that's a great place for it. But yeah, I figured that's a pretty cool one.
do you have a favorite like Aura equipment commander for Arena? It feels like they keep making them, and I still don't have a fave.
I feel like I don't end up playing most of them because I don't really think Voltron is that fun in Arena. Because of the kill your opponent's commander, sort of. That's how you have to play.
Yeah, it's true.
So much against edicts and everything else.
It is so true. You're right.
Yeah. I'd say my favorite's probably Glissa, just because it's really funny. It's just like, no, this is actually just Golgari good stuff, but also I'm stapling stuff to her because she's got First Strike and Death Touch.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's another cool commander coming up, 2 of them actually. Imskir, Iron Eater.
Oh, okay.
Imskir, I'm pretty sure this is a demon from Call Time, based on the name and the look. This is an 8 mana 5/5, but it has affinity for artifacts, so no, it's not. When it enters the battlefield, it draws you X cards, and you lose X life, where X is half the number of artifacts you control, rounded down, so it gets you card advantage in a Rakdos Artifacts deck. That's pretty nice. And you can also pay for sacrifice an artifact, and it will deal damage equal to the sacrifice artifact's mana value to any target. Just kind of cool.
So, like, when built the way you want to build it, we're talking about a 2 mana 5/5 that probably draws 3 or 4 when it enters the battlefield.
Good.
That's really messed up.
I think it's better for Commander than for Brawl, but I still like it.
I wonder what a Rakdos artifact, like you just kind of have to build out the whole shell, right? Are we having to resort to playing like eggs, just 2 mana, draw a card, have an artifact? Or are there enough blood tokens and enough like Oni Cult Anvil, like those kind of cards to make this good? Maybe.
It's better with the first ability, worse with the second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is pretty neat. The next card is actually, I'd say, just kind of good in any Izzet deck. Invert Polarity. You've probably seen people talking about this card if you've been on social media. Me also. So it's either a counterspell or it's a crime turd spell.
A crime turd spell.
Yeah, it's a coin flip.
Oh, okay. Yeah, coin flip, and either you canceled or you did something kind of busted, like deflecting, swatted it. Gain control of it is... Wait a minute.
You straight up gain control. It's not even redirecting it.
Yeah.
It's you steal the whole frickin' spell.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, it's such a feels bad if that's your commander and they get it. I mean, it's bad enough to get
like
countered.
There's a 50-50 chance that this will get through an uncounterable thing. Your opponent casts a Toski.
Yes.
You get a Tails. Like, it doesn't work because it's a counter. You get a Heads. You stole the Toski. It works. It works on Coma. It works on Last March to the Ends. It works on uncounterable green stuff.
That is so extreme, though. Like, for the outcome of a game to be so reliant on a coin flip, right? I think that's where people are going to get really tilted by this card. Like really tilted.
It's so good, though.
This is a
good card. Speaking of good cards, take a look at Nadu Winged Wisdom.
Do I have to?
Yes, you do, because it goes not quite infinite, but pseudo infinite in so many different ways. It's also a 3 mana 3/4 flyer, so also it triggers on both yours and your opponent's spells and abilities. Yeah, Nadu, it sure is card advantage.
Is this the best commander in the set? Is it close?
I think it's definitely the one that's going to perform the best in Brawl.
It gives the ability to all of your creatures.
Sure does.
Like, what are we doing?
And each creature can trigger twice per turn.
Do we have the means to basically somehow target things over and over without, like,
less
having
so
to spend
in
mana?
Brawl, So if this were commander, easily you have two different creatures that each untap a creature and they kiss each other and they go.
Yeah.
This is more, I feel like, in Brawl going to be like Ivy. Also, if you have anything that has a free equip or you've discounted the equip cost to cost 0, that also works with Nadu.
Yeah. I don't think there's gonna. I'm curious what happens. I don't think you have to go infinite with this though to just overpower the opponent so quickly.
Value.
Just a creature or two and things that target.
Like 3 mana, 3/4 flyer. Like it's also like, and if they target it, it doesn't have ward, but it does potentially either get you a card in hand or a land. It's going to get you one of those two things.
Yeah. Also, the twice each turn is also kind of its own lie. You just flicker this or blink it. This might be like one of the best Displacer Kitten cards I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
Oh god. Oh no.
So yeah, Nadu's there.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm gonna end up building it. I'm not entirely sure how. I'd probably make it a lot like an Ivy deck. This next card, though, I very much know how I want to build it. Necrobloom. So this is Field of the Dead if it were a creature, and also they put Dredge in Arena for some reason.
That for some reason that can only be a good thing. That can only be fair magic. I can't wait to have this out with the Gitrog monster and just see how much time I can waste. You know, that's what it's all about. But let's be honest, like. Field of the Dead in the command zone is the right move. Like, this should be on a creature because it is a cool effect and people love Field of the Dead. And this is definitely the way to kind of do that. I don't know if it should give out Dredge 2 to lands. That kind of scares me. But the rest of the card is cool, I think.
For sure. Yeah, also, I don't know. It's got a big butt. It's hard to kill.
7. It's a hell of a plant. It's got so
hell
many
of a
roots.
Plant, baby. Big boy.
It's got so many roots on this thing.
All right. What's the next one that I brought up in my list? I mean, Kudo, I'd say like honorable mention. Flage, honorable mention. They're just kind of good cards in certain archetypes. One's a hate bear. That's a bear. And one of them is the new Titan. Is it a good card? Yeah. Is it as good as Uro? No, but it's still good.
Yeah. Lightning Helix the God. Yeah, it's fine. It also, tells us the rest of the cycle is coming at some point, so there's that.
Planar Genesis. This is it's not a better growth spiral. It's a different growth spiral. If you're playing a Simic tempo deck, it is a pretty nice piece to throw in. Downside, land tapped, has to be in the top cards. Upside gives you more selection. Yep. Planar Genesis is cool.
Yeah, it is. More growth spirals is kind of scary. Simic is already very scary.
All right. Here we go. Roshin of Roaring Prophet. That's just another cool commander. X-cost spells. It gets you one of the X-cost spells if your deck is built around it. This could be Hydras. It can be Burn. And then it makes a bunch of mana.
This art makes me laugh. It reminds me of the movie.
Big green lady yells.
It reminds me of the movie Troll. I don't know.
Oh, I get that.
I'm vibing with it. Is there I'll put it in my all X-Spell Roxanne deck, but I'm wondering how much of this is there in Brawl, but it's a good thematic commander.
It's fun. I don't think it'll be the strongest, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
White of the Reliquary. This is the last of my colorless callouts here. It's a 2 mana 2/2 with vigilance. It gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard, so it gets really big, really fast. The fact that it is a 2/2 as a base and then has that ability is huge. It can also tap to sacrifice a creature, and this is not limited by time, so it has vigilance. You can attack it and then do this to search for a land card and put it into the battlefield tapped. So anything that's like landfall making tokens, this is fantastic with, like that Necrobloom. White of the Reliquary. Good frickin' card.
Dude, more Cavern of Souls fetching, along with all the other toolbox lands you could like. And it's better than Knight of the Reliquary because it can, the vigilance, getting to use the ability and attack is so good. That was the thing.
And I also think this is so much easier to make huge.
Yeah, that's true. Just fill that graveyard up. This card is sick.
The next card I identified was actually pre-banned in Brawl, Disruptor Flute, because it's the better, like, Pithing Needle, Sorcerer's Spyglass type card. So it's already banned. We don't have to worry about it.
Are there any other pre-bans?
No, that's literally it. That's
Just
the
this.
only one.
Okay. Gotcha. Good.
Next up, though, is another Mana Rock Solar Transformer. It enters tapped, but it can get you colored mana 3 times.
Ooh.
I think that's all you need.
Yeah.
I think that this is actually, it's another 2 mana rock. So especially non-green decks will love to have this.
It still taps for colorless.
Yeah.
So like even after you use it up, no, there's like
it's just like a Guardian Idol.
Yeah,
whatever.
there's like every non-green deck like plays this kind of thing now. So yeah, this is sweet. Absolutely.
Good card. It's going to see a lot of play. Vexing Bauble also going to see a lot of play. It's an awkward spot though where you can actually play this in decks that are trying to cast free spells. It stops free spells. It's only 1 mana. But it can also be sacrificed. So like you could get this down to stop your opponent's Grenzo until you get your Grenzo down.
Yeah, way better than running a Grafdigger's Cage in Oswald Fiddlebender, which I've sometimes done. But I think you do, right? Like between Emoti, First Sliver, and Grenzo, doesn't every deck doesn't every deck run it?
And he dies. Like he dies to things. This is a lot harder to get rid of.
Yeah, this is an uncommon. I just think every Brawl deck might want this because when you go up against Emoti and you see it in your opening hand, you're just like, oh, I'll be okay. I don't have to have a flawless hand now to compete. I can play this game.
If your opponent isn't doing free spell stuff, oh no, it has 2 mana cycle.
Yeah, my chat's also calling out a tally. Absolutely. Like there's so many things.
Dolly, Emoti, First Sliver, all of these.
Oh my god. And the we're going to get to the evoke cards, like the things that cast for free somehow.
Hey, I'll let you look at Winter Moon.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. I got you. Winter Moon, 2 mana artifact, rare. Players can't untap more than 1 non-basic land during their untap steps.
Oh, somebody said it counters Pact of Negation, that last card. Yes, it does.
It counters Pact of Negation, but they banned Chalice of the Void. Okay. Yeah. Winter Moon. It's interesting. It forces people to at least play enough basics and possibly fetch them. It's okay. Like, what do you think? Do you think this is going to change a lot? This is going to see play?
I think it's the kind of card I would put into my monocolored deck just as a big screw you to First Slivers because so many people are still running it.
I can see that it would, like, this isn't the thing where I think you want to slam it on turn 2 against a 4 or 5 color deck. You kind of need to wait until they tap like 4 or 5 non-basic lands and then play it, because if they see it early, they'll just play their fetch land and fetch their basics, right? And they'll be okay. Like, you want to catch them in the mid game. A lot of those decks
they have like 4 or 5 basics.
Yeah,
they're so greedy.
I don't know. I picture it'll be like an auto scoop if you get them to like tap 5 mana and then you like War of Invention for it, and it's like got him. Love it.
Yeah, it's not a nice card. It's a card that will get people to concede, not win you the game. It'll get people to leave. Next up, we have the new lands and the reprint lands they put together. I'm just gonna call these out as cycles. We have these cycling, tri-colored, evolving wilds that can tap for colorless mana. Those are going to be great in anything that's like cares about landfall, depending on which color combination you want. They can't go in any 2-color decks, though, so no Get Rug monsters running them. There's also a cycle of they're similar to the castles. They enter the battlefield tapped unless you control an island or a mountain, something like that, and they all have pretty decent abilities. I think that some of them are better than others, and some of them have more specific builds than others. Just you kind of go one to the next, to the next, to the next. I think my favorite among those is just, I don't know, like Shifting Woodland, because it can become a copy of a permanent in your graveyard for 4 mana. That's neat. We also have Ugin's Labyrinth. This is big, colorless ramp. It's only big, though, if you have imprinted essentially a card underneath it. Yeah, you gotta exile your big dumb thing, but this is colorless ramp, which we haven't traditionally had that much of in Arena, so we're getting more big colorless ramp. And now we go to the 2-sided cards. There are 3 kind of cycles here. You have the Flip Walkers, all of which are pretty damn good. They're all worth looking at on their own. Then each color, monocolored, has a spell and a permanent spell that is able to come in untapped. They are bolt lands, they are uncommon, and they're all pretty good. Some of them are better than others. You'll kind of know if you want them in your decks. And then there are the dual lands. Scrolling down even more, each color pair has a dual land. They come in tapped, however, they are all spells on the front, and some of those spells are actually really good, like Revitalizing Repast or Stomp for the color combination they're in. Waterlogged Teachings can also be nice. Strength of the Hardest is freaking amazing in any Enchantress deck. They know what they're doing. Some of them are better than others. They won't go in every deck, but they'll go in a lot of decks.
What I love is effects like Strength of the Harvest, right? You don't always, and Stomp, like you don't always want to stick in competitive 1v1 decks because the potential for blowout is there. I think another good example is Glasswing Grace. But these are like really powerful effects, and when you already have the mana and you have the card, getting to do this in a deck that would never run a card like this is pretty freaking sweet. Like Legion Leadership doubles target creature's power.
Gives it first strike, and it's in Boros, which is the colors that would want to do that, and it's an aggro sort of thing. So it's like, okay, so either you play this on turn 1 and it's a great dual land, whatever, it comes in tapped, that's fine, or later in the game, that's your sudden win con. It's an instant.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I love the MDFCs. I love them in especially 1v1 formats. In paper, it gets a little tedious to flip over your cards all the time and see what they're doing, but I think Disciple of Freyr-Release is a sneaky, amazing one for Brawl because there's so many, like Mythweaver Pock comes to mind first, but there's a lot of things like Itali where you want to play this card, and it's amazing.
So there's actually an interaction worth pointing out with Pock, because Pock is so heavily played. If you play one of these lands with Pock out and it gets duplicated, you probably already know this, you probably run into this. If it has a instant or sorcery, a non-permanent on the backside, nothing happens. If it has a permanent on the backside, you just get a copy of that permanent in play.
Boom. Ta-da.
Yep, it's done. So yeah, that's really good with like Disciple of Freyr-Release.
Draws a lot of cards. Pock to the moon, baby, to the moon.
I also think Fell the Profane is really good. That's one of the bolt lands. It's a 4-mana instant speed destroy target creature or planeswalker, or a land that could potentially come in untapped.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's Hero's Downfall.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It costs 1 more mana, but it's also a land.
Yep. Hey, it gets more interaction into your Brawl and Commander decks. In Brawl, that makes it the meaner.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I like Sink into Stupor. I think that's going to make people angry. So that's very much my jam.
One Sink into Stupor.
Yeah, it's one in a blue.
The blue one, yes. Because it can bounce a spell.
Yeah, it bounces uncounterable spells.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's on a land. That's pretty good. Now we have reprints. These kind of vary in how usable they are, but like some of them are Toxic Deluge. That's a good example of it's going to see play. Toxic Deluge is a fantastic card.
Oh, really quick.
Yes.
Is Ajani the best like 2 dudes cards outside of Bowmasters ever? It's really good, I think.
1/2 and 2/1, and it turns into a planeswalker if the other kitty dies. And then like the backside is able to just keep making more cats.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, fine.
It's a kitty engine.
Yeah.
And they're really buff.
Mana.
They're really buff cat people. Like really buff cat people.
Oh yeah. I mean the art and like the alt art is kind of I don't want to say just furry bait. It's kind of beyond furry bait, honestly.
When the kitties get thirsty.
I mean they're brothers, so you know, just
okay. Okay, I see where this is going.
So we got Toxic Deluge. That's just a people are gonna play it because for 3 mana you can kill a lot of stuff. As long as you're willing to pay life, which
pretty amazing in 1v1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially as a way to slow down aggro decks. It gets rid of indestructibles because it's -X/-X. It's quite nice.
People are going off that Tameo is the blue Ragavan. It's not that good, but yeah, getting clues for cheap is nice.
It's I mean, I was planning on putting it into my Lonus deck. That's about it.
I think it's a little overhyped. I did play with the card. I think, the hype is a bit much.
Yeah. I think it's nice also if you have like an affinity and just want to make a bunch of artifacts. She does stuff. What else do we have under reprints? Cursed Mirror is cool. Priest of Titania and Sylvan Safekeeper for Elves are pretty rad. We're getting Brea, that's a cool commander. We're getting Kalia, that's one of my favorite commanders. It was also my first commander. And then the Medallion cycle. I'll say green doesn't need these. Everybody else run these cards if you're playing a monocolor deck.
Yeah. Also, Crick. There's some Crick.
Oh, Crick, yeah.
Crick. I'm getting some Crick hype in my chat.
I don't know. I mean, Carrick's fine.
Mono Black Storm? I think Arena's the right place. Go fast, be degenerate, take all the priority, take forever. Yeah, I think.
Oh god, yeah, it'll constantly just be like, hey, do you want to pay 2 life?
Yeah, you get this out, you use rituals, you play like Bolas's Citadel, you get Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah, Arena's the right place. It's as disgusting as Paradox Engine. It'll be in Hell Queue in no time. But I think Mono Black Storm fans will enjoy it.
Yeah, and people who are me are going to enjoy getting to play Kalia of the Vast because she's Kalia of the Vast.
I hope you get to attack, and may you always have the best angel, demon, or dragon in your hand when you do.
Always will.
Always will.
I'm probably just going to use this as an excuse to make a Mardu Angels deck.
Yeah. Also really good with that commander from earlier. I forgot the name, but the one who, sacks angels, makes blood, is demon.
Yeah, demon guy.
Yeah, really good with Kalia.
Yeah, y'all, medallions. Medallions are sick. They're so good.
A lot of mono decks.
Just alt arts. Oh wait, there's also a bonus sheet. We have the special guests. These are the ones that are coming to Arena as part of just the bonus sheet. They are draftable. They are playable in Brawl. The Evoke Elementals.
It's so easy to find special guests, isn't it? It's so easy.
Subtlety. Persist is also going to be in there. That's just a really good reanimation spell. Those are the ones I think worth calling out. The Evoke cycle is really strong. Oh, if you're wondering, how do you do it? You have to go like set SPG in Arena, and they don't sort them by what set they're in. So SPG.
I can barely find them on Scryfall. You just have to look for the special guest set.
If you do set SPG, that works. And Scryfall separates them out by set because Scryfall is run by intelligent people who know that we are trying to do things.
Content must be made and people must know things. Was this a mistake? These Evoke Elementals, playing these in Timeless was disgusting. It was absolutely disgusting.
I don't like it. I understand Timeless is designed to kind of be the most degenerate possible. It's kind of surprising that they didn't they don't ban in that format, but they didn't
they didn't restrict anything. They didn't do anything.
Fury or Grief or both.
Restricted Grief is, the variance goes crazy, but it's not as it would be something. It would be a change. It would be useful. But I love these for Yorion. Solitude and Yorion's gonna make me happy. Endurance is sweet, but Grief is a lot. Grief is a tough one. Thoughtseize on a body that you can cast for free it's not fun. It's not fun at all.
No, I would run Grief in most discard based decks like Tiny Bones. Fury is pretty great in just red black. I wouldn't really run it in its own. And if you were running white with any of these, they're pretty decent for blinking. It's really just about construct. That's for Timeless. Fury and Grief for Timeless are nuts.
Yeah. I think
for
Fury
Brawl,
for Brawl is
Persist.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, Persist is the one you should identify. This is the one that's worth looking at for Brawl. Returning target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter. It's just good reanimation for non-legendaries.
It's also very turn 2 kind of disgusting. It is your graveyard, so it's not quite a reanimate, but it adds even more consistency to the decks trying to basically scam out early stuff from the graveyard.
Oh, I am sleepy. Okay, well, that's the cards. I hope that that was helpful for my chat and yours to see a brief recap of the best stuff that you'll have to worry about for Brawl and Commander.
Absolutely. I think that Brawl is going to feel different. Don't you?
Yeah. Literally, it's there's a bunch of cards, and like I didn't even talk about all the ones that I think we'll see some play, because like some of them are extremely specific. But yeah, it's good.
Do you know what your first deck will be? Put you on the spot. Put you on the spot.
I mean, first new brew is going to be an old brew. It's probably going to be Kali of the Vast, just because she's one of my favorites.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, for the most part, though, there's not that many commanders I want to build. Necrobloom, I think, is the #1 of the new cards. And
yes.
It's also like, it's a really easy build for me, at least, because I build so many landfall decks.
I mean, that's really appealing, though. Like, build easy, but then get to do the cool thing, you know? It's right there for you. Yeah.
That'll be our day 0 decks.
Hell yeah.
How about you?
I like the Necrobloom a lot. I will try to break Nadu because I think that's where all the hype is. So the YouTuber in me needs to serve the algorithm, but
algorithm must winged wisdom.
Curse you, algorithm. And I'll definitely want to try the Eldrazi, like the colorless ones and the colored ones. It's an Eldrazi set, so we'll go hard on some of those. But for the most part, I think the adjustments to the format are the pitch spells, the freeze spells, and all the MDFCs. I think that those things are really going to change the amount of interaction, and that's going to be interesting to see whether it's more fun or if people tilt harder than they used to. It's going to be interesting.
Fun. Yeah. Just like looking at what people are going to try to do with Nadu, and it's like in Arena specifically, the things that are like target your own creature to untap them. Most of them in blue cost 3 mana rather than 2 in paper, but you can still do it.
Can I say that you did that in 90 minutes?
Thank you.
You're a beast. Like,
I put together a sheet, and I was just going to use it to make like a YouTube video, but YouTube doesn't deserve us.
Maybe YouTube does. Maybe they do.
Oh wait, right? You're streaming on YouTube. I mean, YouTube, we love you.
Easy, careful. They're very sensitive over here. I might get run out of my own chat.
Wait, well, let me go over to your YouTube chat and say, I'm sorry. I love you.
She didn't mean it.
YouTubers.
She didn't mean it, guys. She didn't mean it. Well,
no, they didn't deserve a video. They deserved a stream.
Only the true fans deserve, get it. They come to the streams, So thanks for having me on. It was fun to hear from Brawl's biggest advocate. I consider you about the format instead of just talking to myself. So I appreciate that.
Aw, thanks for thinking that. And thank you for being another person who plays Brawl and releases Brawl decks and hangs out, because Wizards of the Coast, they are recognizing that Brawl is a hot format because they keep doing things like hiring you in LVD to make Brawl tech videos, and they might be hiring me to make one soon too, because they understand that, wait a minute, people like this format.
You have no idea what it meant to me when the Alchemy set was releasing and they said, we'd like you to do Brawl. I was like, oh my god.
Brawl?
It's like I dodged a bolt. Like,
not standard?
Brawl, not Alchemy. Brawl, not Alchemy, Amy. You have no idea. Okay. Yeah. I have the best job ever.
They want Alchemy videos. Yeah, that would make sense. I
have a wonderful job. I get to make MTG Arena videos. But man, those days when it's like Explorer or Alchemy, I have to I gotta psych up. Like, this is gonna be hard.
I'm just out here playing Brawl every day. Like, here's my favorite deck. I'm not making a new one today. I made my favorite deck. You're gonna watch Grixis crime for 3 hours.
Can I also say, while I have you here, before I have to run,
Yeah.
you have single-handedly changed the Brawl meta in a way that is so funny. I used to, every bolus I used to come up against, I would be like, all right, Grixis control, board wipes, planeswalkers. And now every single time turn to Robber of the Rich, you know? And I'm like, here we go.
It's about fun, CGB. It's about fun. We're convincing people that they can actually enjoy playing Magic, but only if they're playing their opponent's cards. I do also love, I have been shaming people who played Bolus as a control deck for so long, because I would just be like, oh yeah, you're playing Bolus and you use the +1 ability. Fake gamer.
It's so true. You know how happy I used to be like every time they would +2, and now I'm like, oh god, their whole deck synergizes with that +2.
And now Grenzo's out here just like, I'm Polish, but better. I'm like, get out of here. You don't. No, leave.
Your Bolus is henchman, and we know it. All right, you're the prequel. Okay.
I really hope that they start rebalancing some cards for Brawl. That would be a lovely game design philosophy for them to engage in. So fingers crossed that happens. Thank you, CGV, so much for streaming with me. That was really fun. Are you going to keep streaming, or are you done?
I am done. So let's raid our collective friend Voxy. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, thanks guys. I'll catch you later.
Everybody. Have a beautiful day.
Good night.
And bye, CGV.
And that's gonna do it for my stream as well. Thank you for hanging out while I talked with my good friend Amazonian about Brawl. If you want a lot of Brawl content, check out her channel on YouTube and live on Twitch right now, although we're both rating Voxy and running off because we both have an expiration date at about this hour for making content since we opened our very eyes. So thank you for hanging out on this stream. You can go to Voxy's channel on Twitch if you're watching on YouTube. Otherwise, I'm going to launch the raid on Twitch, and I'll catch you guys later. Good night.